the same thing happened in a boxing ring in Paris in the Olympics.
I would like to be able to
and
speak for myself,
Riley to be
actually.
condemned by you.
That'd be super
right?
cool.
For Riley to be...
Welcome to conservative land, Riley. We're men. Speak on your behalf. Don't worry, sweetheart. I got this. How about you go sit over there, look cute? You know, go paint your nails or something. All right, so now let's check out this amazing clip with the amazing Lucas, who has been going absolutely viral on the internet in the wake of this Charlie Kirk situation. But even before that, he was already killing it, and exposes them for being complete hypocrites. Let's go.
I was sickened by what happened to Charlie Kirk. I think we can probably all agree. I hope we can all agree. It was sickening, although I had Destiny on the other night who couldn't bring himself to condemn it because Donald Trump hadn't said the right thing for him, which I think is a lamentable piece of moral cowardice. So let me just start by asking you, I presume you condemn and were horrified by what happened to Charlie Kirk.
Absolutely. I was on the air, Piers, when it all happened. I got emotional. The first thing I thought about were his kids and his family. This is not only bad for Charlie Kirk, obviously.
You know, it's interesting how they always need you to say, don't you feel real bad for him and his family? Like, can we just talk about the issues here? But all right, you got to go and get on your knees and cry about how sad it is for his wife and all that. Like, let's talk about the real shit, man. So just to give you a rundown, conservative woman, liberal man.
This is a horrible, horrible situation. We could never condone political violence, no matter what side of the aisle it comes from.
Why have so many people on the far left, the woke left, been so brazen in their gleeful celebration of what happened to Charlie Kirk?
Well, my response to that, number one, is I'm not on the far left, so I certainly don't speak for them.
Right.
But there's people on both sides of the aisle. I know Republicans don't want to hear that, but there are crazy lunatics on both sides of the aisle that celebrate really horrible things that happen to people in America. I don't agree with them. And if you're on the far left or the far right, and you celebrate anybody getting murdered, then there's something wrong with you. And I don't feel bad for any of those people that were fired for celebrating his death. I think it's disgusting. Now, if you're just talking about him and saying, well, he wasn't a good guy, here's why I didn't like him, here are some of his quotes that he's said in the past, I don't think you should be fired for that. I think there's a way to call out political violence and say Charlie Kirk didn't deserve this. I feel for his family, but I didn't like Charlie Kirk and I didn't like what he stood for. I think you could make both points respectfully.
Okay, Luke has been pointed out to me that you've posted some messages about Charlie Kirk on your Instagram, which we're going to show here. One is a post that's a parody of a Jubilee debate. I'm doing one of these myself soon, titled Charlie Kirk versus Bullet.
That's fucked up.
Can one bullet to the neck outsmart one conservative?
Wow.
Well, that was a short watch.
That's
Number
crazy.
two is a mocked up promotion poster
you.
called Kirk and Twerk at Neck of the Woods and hashtagged both Charlie Kirk and his widow. And the third was an image of a surprise,
Lucas is such a
sunrise
troll, man.
titled God Works in Mysterious Ways with the hashtag Charlie Kirk killing and praying hands as an emoji. And you're laughing as I show these. Why do you find this funny?
Well, let me just say that I actually am a big advocate for dark humor. And I happen to have gotten a bit of a taste of that over the last, I don't know, maybe decade or so when it came to the right and their memes of George Floyd. Happy birthday being sober for 5 years. When they came to their memes of Breonna Taylor, when it came to their memes of Trayvon Martin, the Trayvon challenge, right? When it came to their memes of Tamir Rice. So I don't know what the issue is. I think I'm engaging in the freedom of speech that the right has been advocating for these last 10 years and mocking and making light of Black death, something that Charlie Kirk himself did time and time again. As a matter of fact,
that's 100% true.
Charlie Kirk, instead
now, I don't agree, right? The whole evil for evil, repaying evil for evil thing, that usually doesn't work out to your advantage. And so I don't agree with engaging in the same nastiness that offended you when you have an opportunity to do it against somebody else just to say, see, serves you right. Personally, I think it doesn't help move things forward, but to be fair, and that's what this video is about, showing the hypocrisy on the right. How many times have you ever heard any of these people, or do you think any of these people spoke out whenever they saw one of their white conservative friends or just people who they see as on the same side of the aisle politically, how many of them do you think they condemned whenever they posted a meme about George Floyd, for instance? I guarantee you, zero. None of them. They probably laughed. Heck, they probably have some on their phone. And so that's the hypocrisy here.
Focusing his time on black culture and black on black crime, if he had spent a modicum of his time focusing on the white youth, that perhaps he would still be with us today.
That's true.
Are you pleased he's dead?
No, absolutely not.
So how did you feel about his murder?
But I don't think.
How did you feel about his murder?
How do I feel about his murder?
Yeah.
Well, I think a quote by a great author sums up the sentiment of millions of Americans around the world, and that is, some cause happiness wherever they go, others when they go. And I think that's a sentiment that is palpable amongst many Americans around the world due to the hate and vitriol and bile that Charlie Kirk sowed. So I think there was a
just to be clear, unless I misheard you, then you are happy he died.
No, I don't think as far as happiness is an emotion that
you literally just read me a quote which implies you're happy. You talked about some people's death bring happiness.
The purpose of the quote was
here's a situation I feel like Amazing Lucas should just stand on it or say something like to the effect, no, his living or not living really means nothing to me. What I'm happy about is that he will no longer be pushing the lies and problematic things that he was teaching. He won't be pushing that to impressionable college students anymore. You could have said something like that, but here I feel like Lucas is falling into the trap of needing people to think that he's a good person.
That there are some people who have caused harm and death and turmoil to other groups of people, such as Charlie Kirk, whether it's black people, whether it's, trans people.
No, I heard the quote.
The list
just to be
goes on.
clear, you said that the quote ends in that their death brings happiness, but you've denied that you were happy. But when you tell me a quote
I don't disagree that
when you
there
tell
are
me a quote
people
like
who
that,
are-
I presume from that quote you're implying that actually you are happy he died because he deserved it. He had it coming.
No, not at all. I don't think those are ever words that I've ever mentioned verbatim ever. I think there is a sentiment that when someone who lives their life in evil and wickedness, according to the scripture, the power of life and death is in your tongue. And the hate and the vile and the venom that he spewed, I don't know what to tell you. As the scripture says, as he professed, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. I think his focus should have been on a community that, clearly is in problem. That I find it interesting that there's more scrutiny on people who may make memes that they've done of George Floyd and other black victims than on the white male youth that did this tragedy, as some would call it. I think
why would you be?
focus.
Why would you be offended about the memes to people like George Floyd, which I found contemptible at the time, if they're the same ones that you're talking about? Why would you profess to be offended by those if you're quite happy to do the same kind of thing yourself?
I think the point that I'm making by the memes that I'm putting out, which clearly has caused outrage and triggering, I find it a bit hypocritical that the people for years who said fuck your feelings are now overwhelmed with feelings at the moment. But the point that I was making was to point out the
facts don't care about your feelings. Apparently the people who say that shit, they actually care a lot about feelings.
Hypocrisy that the right has on a variety and myriad of issues, as we just saw with Pam Bondi on the freedom of speech. I think the issue is that they have scapegoated people like Pam Bondi for what is the crime of Donald Trump. The same thing they did with Anthony Fauci. We saw this when it came to the Second Amendment. They banned bump stock ban. They had a bump stock ban under Donald Trump while they were fear-mongering about Biden take away your guns. But as we saw, there was no outrage, there was no protest, and we come to find out that it was unconstitutional. So I think this hypocrisy is ubiquitous within the right. And I think my memes expose that hypocrisy.
And what about your own personal humanity? I mean, hashtagging his widow in a mocked-up promotion poster of Kirk and Twerk.
See, this is a big trap. If you can learn how to not care about appearing like a good person, it makes statements like this completely powerless. What about your humanity? What about it? My humanity is fine. How's yours? You know what I'm saying?
At neck of the woods. How do you justify targeting? Hang on. How do you justify targeting his widow?
I think that's a bit disingenuous to use such hyperbolic language as targeting. I think it's more of a strategic plan of attack to get the message out to more people. When we saw
Also, I don't see how this post directly targets his wife. I mean, let's just take a look at the post. It says, come take a shot. Kirk and twerk. He's here posted up with 2 chicks throwing it back. Neck of the woods, Salt Lake City, Utah. Doors open at da-da-da. I don't see any statements about his wife. So why is Piers Morgan trying to make it about his wife? It's because, and one thing I will say I wish Lucas did more in this debate or in this exchange is just bring facts, data, statistics that completely contradict the shit that people like Charlie Kirk and Charlie Kirk himself, the shit that he used to push, instead of allowing Piers Morgan to waste so much time making this about whether or not Lucas is a good person or a decent person for posting these memes. And he's also lying about it targeting his wife.
strategic plan of attack to get the message out to more people. When we saw Erica Kirk, she had a moment to speak for unity within the country, left and right, and she chose to fundraise. She then chose to use the scripture and talk, very nicely of her, past husband. And I understand that. But by that same token, there are people who were absolutely harmed by the rhetoric that Charlie Kirk put out. And that rhetoric actually codified in many cases in many states. First, to expect people who are harmed by his rhetoric, harmed by someone who had anti-black, anyone who wasn't white and Christian in his perspective. I think it's perverse to try and criticize those people or try and make them seem as if they're the bad guys when that's
but you see,
not
funny
the
enough, I can look at what you've done and I can see somebody who is abhorrent and despicable and actually evil. Actually, the stuff when you target someone's widow as she grieves.
Once again, I disagree with the word targeting. I think
allow him to say he's targeting his widow. Since he wants to make this about morality, allow him to get it off and then say, okay, do you think that lying is wrong? Do you think if you're a liar, that makes you a bad person? Does it make you an evil person to spread lies? What if they're lies that actually hurt people? Do you think that's a problem? Does that make you a bad person? Okay, all right, well, let me give you a quote from Charlie Kirk and then actually give you the information, the statistics that completely refute what he was saying, proving that he was a liar. Are you ready to call Charlie Kirk a liar, Piers? Hold the mic up to him. What's he gonna do? Flail around like a little fish.
I'm talking about me personally, my view of what you've done. I don't care about your motivation in terms of other people's inappropriate memes, many of which I may well agree with you about. But that doesn't mean that I then go and do it myself or worse, because that makes me even more inhuman and abhorrent, and by your definition,
I disagree. I think there's
evil.
a point,
I know you disagree.
I'm just telling you. When it comes to Republicans, when it comes to conservatives, they have to see.
I've let you have your say.
I'm a mirror.
I've let you have your say.
What they have shown.
I'll let you have your say.
And if they don't like what they see, then they should actually detour from their wicked path.
I'm using your own justification to tell you what I think of you and what you've done. All right? That's my free speech at work. Let me bring in Gillian Michaels.
Agree.
I mean, Gillian, look. I saw...
right, that's all he wanted to do. He wanted to bring Lucas on so he can give him a little bit of a moral spanking, put him over his leg and then spank him. Bad black man. How dare you make memes in the same way that memes are made about whenever there is a black person who is a victim of police brutality. How dare you do that? And then just give him the Bible verse in the book of Proverbs. It says, answer a fool according to his folly, lest he think himself wise, lest he consider himself wise, right? Even the Bible acknowledges that sometimes you got to give people a taste of their own medicine.
Brian there nodding to some of what he was hearing there, not all, to be clear, but nodding to some of it about the hypocrisy.
I only say that because, they love the Bible so much.
Which Lucas claims he is exposing with this stuff. What is your view of what he's said?
I find this exceptionally sad because, Lucas, you talk about how hurt you were and how offended you were by such despicable things, and then you became the thing that you found the most repulsive, which is alarming, and as I mentioned, deeply saddening. I would be more than happy to litigate some of Charlie's positions for you. I abjectly
I don't think I need
on
any
its
litigation
face-
from a woman who tried to downplay slavery, who tried to all lives matter slavery
Do you
after
wanna
she
discuss
purchased a
that?
black child. That's what I would
Purchased a
argue.
black child.
I don't think you need to as far as
Would you
litigate
like to
anything.
discuss it?
Okay.
Because the reality of the situation is that what I gave you, whether you like it or not, is a fact from the 1860 census. And
It
the point was not
literally
to
is not a fact.
downplay
It is
slavery.
actually a
So now they're apparently they've had an interaction at another point in time, and you know this is just old beef coming up, I guess.
Bastardization of actual history.
you're
what you
wrong.
cited
Maybe we can
was
discuss-
inaccurate. You can actually look it up. I don't know if you did.
I
I
actually
doubt you
did
do your
look
due
it up.
diligence. You clearly did not.
Would you
because
like to-
Yeah, Lucas, though he is, you know, he did expose some hypocrisy, but he does need to calm it down a little bit here.
that study that you're citing, in the study that I'm discussing it right now, in the study that you're citing, it takes into account not only the slaves, it takes into account the northern states and the southern states. So to try and implement or to say this all lives matter when it comes to slavery, which is abhorrent and in extreme
See,
contradiction.
listen, man, you cannot play the morality game with people who are okay turning a blind eye to the centuries of moral injustices that give them power, which is why they turn a blind eye to it, which is why they don't want to take accountability. They don't want to acknowledge it, because the moment they do, they will have to acknowledge that the power that they have is illegitimate in regards to how it was obtained. It wasn't obtained righteously. And so they have to turn a blind eye to that. You think you are going to move them by making moral arguments? These are not people who are concerned with morality. And so in a situation like this, I would just keep it to numbers, data, stats, statistics, and quotes by people that are obviously false and debunkable. That's where I think Lucas should have lived. Allow them to call you every name in the book. Allow you. These are people who are actively trying to defend a racist, a xenophobe, a man that taught very abhorrent things. And you can't make this about who is a good person.
To American history, especially in this country as chattel slavery as Black Americans, is abhorrent and perverse,
Well,
especially you, who is the mother
Especially me.
of a Black child, who she purchased.
Right.
Other
Is
people
my
adopt.
turn to talk?
You purchased.
Is it?
By all means.
How did I? Okay, well, I'm not quite sure what you mean
Yeah,
by
you know, he brought her. I guess she has an adopted black son. Oh, God. I pray he finds some good YouTube channels like this, because he's going to have some hang-ups about his self-image.
purchase. She's adopted, and it is illegal
Did you
to
pay?
purchase a child.
Did you pay to get that child?
No, I paid the adoption agency.
It was
fees to do
absolutely
my
free.
hope study.
It was absolutely
I
okay. So
paid
then
the
there was a
adoption
process of
agency
payment.
like you.
So then there
pay
was a
to
process
adopt
of-
a
Yeah, this ain't a good place for Lucas to go.
child.
Because now we're going to say that if a black woman adopts a black child, that she bought that child, right? So, yeah. But clearly he's playing defense. He's getting a little riled up.
I believe
An
that other
American
people adopt. You
adoption
purchased.
agency. Okay, you're wrong, and that's defamation.
I'm literally
And it's
right
an
as you're
absolute
saying
lie,
that you
and
paid
it's-
to an adoption
You're
agency.
literally wrong, and it's this
I'm
kind
literally
of
correct.
hateful.
You know what you are. You know what you are.
This is why every young man needs to read about Machiavellianism. You need to understand how to be Machiavellian in situations like this, like debates. Why? Because, one, you understand that it doesn't matter if these people think you're a good person. Notice we are not talking at all anymore about policies or ideologies. We're talking about you're a bad person because you made a mean meme. You made a mean picture about Charlie. And now Lucas is like, yeah, but you're a bad person because of what you said about slavery. Fuck that, bro. Make this about the shit.
What's
Let me
hateful
just-
is you
Hang on,
downplaying
let me
slavery.
jump in
That's
here.
what I think is
Let me
hateful.
jump in
I
here,
didn't actually
Lucas.
downplay
Let me jump in
slavery.
here, Lucas.
That's
it seems to
literally
me
what you did.
Seems to me, Lucas, you've decided to be just as offensive as you want to be. You're now attacking people who adopt children, which is one of the most selfless things that any human being could do.
Making it too easy.
Actually.
This is literally what the right did to Dave Rubin, is it not?
Fine, but what you're doing is just trying to be as offensive as possible whilst masquerading under this umbrella of, well, everybody else is offensive, so that's why I'm doing it, to expose all the hypocrisy. But Gillian is right. Gillian is right that actually you have descended. The way you've just gone after Gillian. You know what, Lucas?
The only
stop
way we
talking.
can unify people
Stop
is where
talking.
people understand the harms that they've done.
You have targeted Gillian for adopting a child. That is despicable. Let me bring in Riley Gaines.
I targeted Gillian for adopting a black child after she downplayed slavery, which I think is contradictory.
You attacked her for adopting a child.
I mean, let's not misconstrue my words that I'm saying.
Oh, I heard your words. Let me bring in.
And see now, okay, and so it sounds like she just said whatever statement Lucas is criticizing is something she said 14 years ago. Why does that matter? So she clearly understands that whatever she said was fucked up, and she's now trying to subtly distance herself from it because she knows it's fucked up, and it's weird to know that a woman like that adopted a black child. That black child, you already know how they're growing up, man. They're gonna grow up and be the next Candace Owens, the next Brandon Tatum. You feel me?
Bring in Riley.
You're misinterpreting
Let me bring in Riley Gaines here.
Sure, buddy.
Riley, you've been waiting patiently.
Great rebuttal, Gillian.
Okay, can you please let the others speak, please? Okay.
I wasn't actually allowed to talk, Lucas, but I'm more than happy actually to have you on my podcast.
That's because anything that comes out of your mouth is backlit.
We can discuss all of it.
All right, let me bring in Riley.
If you'd like to come on my podcast, I would be more than happy to give you a platform.
That's a different podcast for a different time.
More than willing to have discourse.
Okay, you know what?
Honor Charlie Kirk,
if you're willing for discourse, let Riley Gaines speak. Riley, what is your view of what you've been hearing?
I mean, honestly, like, it makes me feel tearful. Like, I have experienced all of the emotions over the past week. It has been, to the day, 7 days. I think initially starting with total shock and disbelief and honestly confusion. I've been so blessed in my life to not have been surrounded by death much in my family. I haven't lost really anyone close to me. Charlie was a friend, a mentor of mine. He's who ultimately I attribute to giving me my voice, the platform that I have. I attribute that to Turning Point USA, to Charlie Kirk. So to lose a friend like that, like, I have gone through all the emotions, but to sit here today and listen to the discussions that we have seen, I think particularly from Lucas, whether it was about the memes that were posted, whether it was about Gillian adopting a black child. I mean, I am just like in total disbelief, disarray. How have we reached a point where these are the discussions that we're having, and on a national stage here? Like, we have Democratic elected officials who are celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk, the best and most effective,
not true,
debater of our time.
All they do is lie.
Activist, really.
Right.
I think debater is really downplaying.
That's not true.
What Democratic official has celebrated this death? Not a single one. They just lie. They just keep lying.
Yes.
In what way?
What is the lie?
Name me one prominent.
Go ahead. Name
Riley, name me one prominent Democrat that has celebrated the death. And I find it very interesting. You
let her say it, bro. You gonna bail her out by just, you know what I'm saying, running past that.
Attacking transgenders. You've made millions of dollars across the country doing that.
I didn't ask for this.
If you truly care about, I didn't
ask for the
I'm sorry you
position
lost
I'm
your
in.
friend.
Oh my God, listen to this fucking shit. I was chosen by God. It's like, did you drive to this location wherever you're filming this? Yeah, every day you do what you're doing, you are choosing to do it.
Okay, hold on a second. Yes, in this case, you've made millions of dollars profiting, going across the country. You've made a lot of money and you've made a name for yourself. Nobody knows who you are as a college swimmer unless you're attacking transgenders. Now, if you care about children, then why have you not criticized Donald Trump? If you care about children.
Now, I don't know this Riley chick, and I'll be honest, I don't believe that biological men who transition later in life, after they've gone through puberty and all of that, they transition to identifying with a woman. I don't think it's fair for them to be competing with biological women. They just have too much of an advantage. It would be as if they were taking steroids since they were 13 years old. It's just not fair. So I agree with that, but this is supposed to be about Charlie Kirk.
Women, then why have you not gone after Donald Trump for not bringing out the Epstein files? If you care about children, why don't you talk about gun control?
This is just a bunch of people trying to make... Who is the worst person? That's what this whole panel is all about. Who here is a bad guy?
I'm happy that that transgender is out of that volleyball tournament, okay? But there's more important things that we should be talking about, and you've profited off of attacking transgenders with your hatred towards transgender people. Nobody knows who you are as a college swimmer. People know who you are because you go around the country attacking transgenders, Riley. That's who you are.
Actually, what she's done, Brian, very heroically, in my opinion, is she's gone around the country defending women's rights to fairness, equality, and safety. Something that I'm very surprised to hear
Piers,
that you, on the left, do not wholeheartedly endorse and agree with.
Piers, let me respond to what you just said.
Sure.
If in fact Riley Gaines, by the way, Piers, I've had this conversation on your show about transgenders.
Yeah.
I don't think transgender women should be competing with women on the playing
So you
field.
agree with her?
However, I do, but here's my problem with Riley.
What are you
She
talking
doesn't
about?
talk about the... let me explain. She doesn't talk about the non-release of the Epstein files and real victims of sexual abuse. She doesn't criticize Donald Trump. She doesn't talk about how flags weren't at half-mast after children are massacred in schools.
Do you
she
talk
only
about? Okay, let me ask
talks
you.
about transgenders.
Let me ask you. Do you talk
It's
about?
so funny because
hang
on
on,
one part you're saying
hang
no
on,
one knows me,
hang
but
on.
in the other
I'm
breath
talking.
you're acting like
I'm
you
hang on,
followed
Riley.
everything that I've ever said on any
Hang
topic
on, Riley.
ever.
Hang on, Riley. So, Brian, your position is that unless you talk out publicly about every single issue that is important in the world, then it disqualifies you from talking about the issue that you not only care about most because it happened to you, but you are passionate about because it protects women's rights. Is that your position?
Piers, here's my position. You don't have to talk about every single issue, but when the second leading cause of death in children is gun violence, you probably should bring that up. When we talk about...
actually, it's now the first. The first leading cause in death for children is guns.
MAGA Republicans who have talked about the Epstein files and horrible abuse. Maxwell was one of the largest sex traffickers in the world. And the Donald Trump administration have sent her to a club.
Why does Riley Gaines have to do all that? Why does Riley Gaines...
Because she says she cares...
No, Riley Gaines cares
because she
about...
said, let me answer.
Riley Gaines cares because a very,
crazy.
very tall, muscular, powerful male called Leah Thomas said suddenly, who was a very moderate, unsuccessful male swimmer, suddenly said, I'm a woman, and then began destroying women in the women's pool. It was clearly grotesquely unfair, unequal, and actually dangerous. And we saw the same thing happen in a boxing ring in Paris in the Olympics.
I would like to be able to
and
speak for myself,
for Riley to be
actually.
condemned by you,
That'd be super
Right?
For Riley
to be... Welcome to conservative land, Riley. We're men. Speak on your behalf. Don't worry, sweetheart. I got this. How about you go sit over there, look cute, go paint your nails or something.
be condemned by you because she doesn't also talk about other issues is absurd. Anyway,
first of all, that's not even true.
You know what?
Critical.
We'll come back to this. I'm just going to hold the panel here for a moment.
And so that ends up being the entire interaction between Lucas and this panel of speakers. But yeah, it just really highlights the hypocrisy. I think this situation with Charlie Kirk has completely exposed the right and conservatives for being just the biggest hypocrites on the planet. Literally every single criticism that they have ever leveled against people on the left up until a week ago, they are now doing it, and they are proud to do it, and they are justifying it, and it's insane to me, the attack on the freedom of speech. You can't say this, going after people's jobs, crying about this. Oh, you made me feel bad. That was mean. Literally every single criticism that they have for the left, they are now living it in full force. And this goes to show, man, none of this is about principles. This is about tribes. And at the end of the day, one tribe is the tribe that wants to retain power. And then you have, in this situation, pretty much everybody else. It ain't even just about white people versus black people. This is about people who want to retain power amongst a certain group of people and wants to keep everybody else out. And so if they got to flip positions, be hypocrites, they don't care as long as they get to retain that power. Lie, all of it. But you let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching. Peace out.